Okay.
Hello and welcome back to the Ninth Inning Pod. My name is Ben. I'm here with Bradley. Bradley, how are you doing on this glorious, kind of annoyingly hot Tuesday? No, it's not Tuesday. Thursday.
I am quite warm, but I am doing well. Uh, End of the week is coming. I'm very, obviously excited to watch some baseball today, but I think we all know what's going on today. Chiefs Ravens. Very excited to watch that opening football. Fantasy football starts. Um, Very excited for today. Just kind of sit in my leather chair and just do nothing.
For all that are celebrating happy start of the National Football season. Um, it's a big day. Basketball is not too far away too, so
It can stay far away
personally, this isn't really a conversation for this.
unless the Bucks win the championship. In that case, then sure.
I have slowly faded away from caring about the NBA personally, but part
That's
of that
all.
is because I've liked watching the MLB more and more and more. So,
Yep, I'm with you there, kid.
but
Even though you're older than me.
that's a story for a different time. Maybe sometime in the off season we can like rank pro sports. That's an awful
Oh,
idea.
that's a terrible idea, but yeah. Baseball podcast ranks baseball last. Crazy concept.
Never.
Never again. Anyways, I was trying to be funny. Ben. All right, let's get into trivia, shall we?
Yeah, good idea. You start.
I start. Okay.
Actually, no. Rock, paper, scissors, but we have to say it out loud. Loser starts.
Okay.
On three. Ready?
Yep. Rock, paper, scissors.
Rock.
Rock.
Okay, we both did rock.
Yep.
Ready?
Yep. Rock, paper,
Paper,
scissors,
scissors,
scissors.
scissors. God.
What are
Rock,
we doing?
paper,
Rock, scissors,
scissors, scissors.
paper.
Yeah, you're starting.
All right. All right. Here's my trivia. Julio. Oh my English. Julio Rodriguez is the fourth player in his age 22 season or younger to have a 30-30 season. Who is the youngest?
Jackson Churio next year.
Ding ding ding. That is correct, sir.
Um, my mind goes to Bryce Harper.
30 steals for Bryce Harper. That's absurd.
He started as an outfielder.
So didn't mean he's fast.
My mind goes to
Wait, why did you say the place?
Mike Trout. I don't know. My concept of like when young players came into the league, like I don't know, like when Griffey made his rookie season. Um, I'm just gonna go simple. I'm gonna say Mike Trout.
That is correct, sir.
I'm glad I
He
didn't
did.
overthink it. I was kind of
He did
nervous I was
it.
going to.
Yeah, he did it in 2012.
How
By
old
the
was
way,
he?
he was that was his. I don't know. Uh, Bryce Harper, his career high was 21 stolen bases.
Okay.
Um, Mike Trout in 2012 was 19. No, 20.
Okay. So unfortunately, Churio will not be able to top that.
No, he could be second, maybe. I don't know if he
Well, I
would do it.
mean, you never know. He could go on a tear this last 4 weeks.
I mean, yeah, he only needs to hit 11 bombs, and I don't even. Who's he at? 20 stolen bases,
Yeah, he only needs to put up Shohei Ohtani numbers for the rest of the year, and then he'll be fine.
and then he'll win Rookie of the Year.
You would think. You would think. Yeah, I got a good trivia for you.
Oh
Uh,
God.
I was digging around in
Mhm.
a certain player I'm about to mention because I was thinking about him. I was like, I need a good trivia that is revolved around this guy. I know you remember the Francisco Rodriguez Brewers days.
Oh yeah, big time.
So Francisco Rodriguez once entered a game up 5 with the bases loaded and 2 outs. He allowed a grand slam and got the final out on the next batter, and he was still awarded the save.
Okay.
Who did he play for during this ridiculous game?
Oh, boy.
He had a fairly decent career with the amount of teams he played for, so, but not overwhelming, not like Bartolo overwhelming.
Honestly, my mind goes to either the Mets or the Brewers. Um, See, I feel like Prime K Rod would not do this. Um, I'm just gonna go the Mets. I feel like it's a very Mets thing to do.
It was not the Mets. Is that the first trivia question I've asked you that you haven't gotten right?
Yeah.
Uh, the Los
Was-
Angeles Angels
Dang it! So it's a
in
young K Rod, huh?
yeah in 2005, August 23rd, 2005. The Angels beat the Orioles 7-6, and like I said, the Orioles hit a grand slam with 2 outs in the ninth off of K Rod, and he still got the save.
Why did he start? Francisco Rodriguez started in 2002. That was the year he had 45 saves too. So that was low key prime K Rod.
Yeah, and
Oh,
for what it's worth, I mean, occasionally you're gonna let up a home run. This is just a really funny time because
yeah,
you're up 5 when you enter the game and you get the save before
yeah,
the 3 inning saves that started this year, I think.
yeah.
But
Good
anyway,
trivia, Ben.
yeah, I saw that and I was like, that is a good one.
I like how we did our batters pitchers thing.
Yeah, that was totally
Uh,
planned.
oh yeah, totally.
So this week, there's I don't know if you. This one's not really a segment, but before we were recording the podcast, Bradley mentioned there's a lot of players that we um, maybe not said negative thoughts on, but highlighted that they were struggling. There's 3 in particular that were named.
Mhm.
So we're just gonna do a little Uno reverse and say congrats on turning it around. Do you remember any of those players, Bradley?
I do. The first one that came to my head was Pico Armstrong. I'm. I mean, I think we were both like saying like this guy is super super talented, but like he's not showing him to be the number one, prospect in the Cubs minor leagues. And I mean, he's improved to hitting 239. He has 26 stolen bases. I mean, in his last 4 games, I mean, he's putting the ball in play. He's hitting it hard. He's went 3 for 5 and 3 for 4. Um, I mean, he's got wheels and he's kind of putting them together. So good for you. I'm proud of him, even though it is the Cubs. I never like to see top prospects fail because they are just so vital and so hyped, and everybody just wants to see the top prospects come up for their team. So it's good to see that like Cubs fans have somebody to kind of cheer for that like is a homegrown talent. So Peter Armstrong's the first one. Do you want to say the second one, or do you want me to keep going?
I got number 2. I got to see him up close and personal. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but Paul Goldschmidt has turned it around. He's on an 11-game hit streak. When we mentioned his name before, it was I think we leaned into the he's old phase. And he really had a struggling time, at least for most of the year, to hit the ball. But he has come alive. Maybe there's going to be a late push for the postseason out of that Cardinals team. They just took 2 from the Brewers, which I'm sure we'll get to. But Goldschmidt, although we said previously that he's starting to slow down, he put his foot on the gas a little bit. So kudos to Goldschmidt, and we'll see if he can keep it going this last month of the year.
I also think he's kind of like the way he plays baseball. Like I feel like he's kind of a player that can just like turn it around really quickly. Because it's like yes, he's going to hit homers, but he's also kind of a a bat to ball guy. So like I feel like him especially like he is one of those guys that can maybe get out of a slump. You know what I'm saying? And I think we kind of underestimated that aspect of his game.
Yeah, I agree. And another thing we said about him is we were talking about like where the free agents might go, and he's going to be a free agent this year. If he starts to put together a great September, he might get a much nicer contract on his end. But like we were saying about the veteran pitchers, he's a veteran hitter, so just that presence alone is worth more than a different first baseman who's younger that has the same skill that he does.
Yeah.
Who is the third that we mentioned, Bradley?
The third guy was a guy that I really like personally. I never doubted him for a second. Well, kind of, but I was worried. I'm not gonna lie, I was worried. Corbin Carroll, he is balling out of his mind, and yes, I'm gonna bring him up later in a segment that we get to later. But I mean, man, it's just like he has been a spark plug for the D-backs. Him and Gino Suarez have just been putting that team on their back and trying to will wins. It's awesome to see because I mean honestly he is great for the game of baseball. He is truly a 5 tool guy, and it's just so and he's every single time he's out in the field. I mean I just love watching him play baseball. He's so talented, and I'm so glad that um, he's turning it around.
Yeah, the Dodgers D-back series, which again we'll get into shortly, was just insane. He played very well that series. He had an inside the park homer that was electric. I mean, there's no other word for it. And yeah, he's starting to right the ship a little bit, and it's pretty comforting almost to see him start to swing the bat like baseball fans know he can. But yeah, I'm sure there's going to be other players that are swinging around, but as a podcast that's trying our best to be neutral, I think that's something that's important that we do is admit when maybe not necessarily we're wrong, because I don't think any of these players we said were going to be awful or they're going to stay this way, but at least just like highlight, hey, they're doing good now.
Yeah, I do agree that's important.
The next thing, this is a segment we're gonna try and have often. We're naming it Bradley's Tidbits. So every now and then, when Bradley and I, but mostly Bradley, is scrolling social media and sees a little headline that is worth mentioning, this is where we're gonna talk about it. 30 seconds, boom, yada yada. This happens because sometimes things are fun and should be mentioned really quick. And this is one of those things. Take it away, Bradley. I know you got some quick
All
headlines you
right.
want to talk about.
So every single week for the podcast, I screenshot so many things that are like I want to touch on, just like mention them, but they don't deserve like a whole discussion and everything. So I'm just gonna run through like everything I have. So the first thing is the Minnesota Twins versus the Chicago White Sox are 12-1. By the way, this was a while ago, but the Minnesota Twins versus everyone else was 60-60. So yeah, when they were 72-61. They were dead even, but man, were they destroying the White Sox. So, hey, good for the Twinkies. The other thing is from a sports show. Buck Showalter was saying about this Francisco Lindor as his NL MVP pick. He can go 0 for 4 and win a game. Those DHs can't go 0 for 4 and win a game. So he's saying that Lindor should win MVP just because he just has so much more value to that Mets team than say a Marcelo Zuna or a Shohei Ohtani, which you can debate about. Obviously, Shohei is Shohei. Ozuna's having a year and a half, but I mean, I see where he's coming from. The next thing is, now this is funny to me. The AL Central combined is 38 games under 500. Meanwhile, the AL Central has 5 teams. 4 of them are over 500. That just tells you how bad the Chicago White Sox season is going. This one kind of is nice to hear for me and Ben. Pedro Martinez, Hall of Fame pitcher for the Red Sox. He's nasty, and the Expos. He's disgusting. Here's what he said about the Brewers. Pedro Martinez is optimistic that Milwaukee can get over the hump in the playoffs. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I've ever heard somebody say this about the Brewers, and I love that people. I love that people are actually acknowledging the season that the Brewers are having because they are a small market team, and I mean they just keep on winning. They have homegrown talent, and I mean they're playing out of their mind. And without a Christian Yelich, former MVP, who is having a fantastic season, by the way. And then this is a fun one. On August 20th of 2023, the Blue Jays hit 5 home runs and beat the Reds 10-3. On August 20th, 2024, the Blue Jays hit 5 home runs and beat the Reds 10-3. That's crazy. This one, I think, is a real nod to Luis Arraez. We don't talk enough about the fact that Luis Arraez has struck out twice since the All-Star break. Twice since the All-Star break. Think about that. Let that sink in. That is crazy. That is absurd. I know people are saying it a lot, but it's kind of funny that he's on the Padres and he's literally kind of sort of playing like Tony Gwynn, Mr. Padre himself. Like, I mean, it's just crazy. It's just, think about that. That's absurd to me. That's it for what I got this week. So, for those of you that want to hear more of this is just kind of Bradley yapping. Just like let us know.
There's one I actually sent this to you, Bradley, that I just want to point out. From a YouTube channel called Baseball Doesn't Exist. They're talking about position players pitching, and there was, I think it was a 5-week stretch over the course of the regular season where position players did not allow a run. The OPS that was against them, I want to say was like 150, which is unbelievable. And in that time, they only struck out 1 batter. So somehow, across the entire league, all these position players were getting batters to ground out and pop out without allowing runs. I think also it was mentioned over that stretch, there were only 4 actual pitchers that pitched better than the combined clump of position pitchers. Just a fun, weird, wacky stat. And that's what Bradley's tidbits are for.
Indubitably.
Next on the list today is we're going to talk about the playoff race. It's going to be just a constant theme every time we hit record on this podcast until the end of October. We're going to be talking about the playoffs. Are there any divisions since last week, Bradley, that are catching your eye?
I mean, AL Central hits me immediately. We kind of talked about the Vinny impact of losing him. And let's just say since last week, the Royals are now in 3rd place in the AL Central. They're a half game back from the Twinkies, and they're 4.5 games back out of 1st place. I think this is really a race for 2nd and 3rd place. I don't think any team is catching the Guardians at this point because both the Twins and the Royals are not playing great baseball. In the last 10, the Twins are playing 4-6, and in the Royals' last 10, they're 3-7. I mean, it's tough to see. I mean, both teams are struggling, but I think this is really showing just how much of an impact Vinny might have had I mean, who knows what they would have done with Vinny? But I mean, you can definitely kind of point the finger and say, "Wow, this is maybe you know a big cause and effect of the Vinny injury." You know what I'm saying? Like, I think this one immediately kind of jumps out to me. The other one that jumped out to me is Baltimore is now in first place of the AL East. The Yankees are a half game back. And I know you and I both called it, but I mean, it's cool to see finally. I was expecting it to happen a long time ago, and it just happened the other day. So both teams are kind of. I mean, they've had okay in the last 10 games. Baltimore's 5-5, and the Yankees are 4-6 in the last 10. They're both gonna make the playoffs without a doubt. But yeah, Baltimore took the lead, and I mean, honestly, those are the two divisions that really kind of struck me this week.
Yeah, so the AL Central, I had these guys written down for later, but I'll talk about them now. I have watched a decent amount of Twins games, but I haven't had the closest eye on them. I didn't realize how injured the Twins were. Um, Kepler has been dancing on and off the IL for a little bit. Um, Buxton, I didn't even realize Buxton was out at all. And this is kind of interesting. Buxton was supposed to play 9 innings yesterday, and he got ejected after the third inning because I think he was arguing balls and strikes. I'm not 100% sure. But then afterwards, after he got ejected, it turns out that he had soreness and discomfort in his right hip. So maybe he was just frustrated with the right hip problems. But he's been dealing with it. The Twins are just going through it. Correa, I don't think he's back yet. Manuel Margot is going, like, the entire team, it feels like the core is just injured right now.
Is
Which
Royce playing consistently finally this year?
I this year, no. I don't know if he's healthy right now or not. Um Let me look quick to see Twins last box score to see if he's in the starting lineup. Um Royce Lewis was in the starting lineup, so hopefully he gets more consistent time and can stay healthy. He's one of the best third basemen in baseball if he's healthy.
Oh yeah, he's only had 212 ABs this year, so again, not playing as much as he should. And you know, I mean, like you said, when he's on the field, he's electric. But I mean, he's just been having some struggles staying on the field.
Yeah. The Twins and Royals, it would stink as a baseball fan if that division, if Cleveland just ran away with it because of injuries to the second and third place teams. Um, Cleveland right now is a 4 game lead, like you said, in that division, and I'm not sure if Minnesota or Kansas City are going to be able to catch them now with the injuries. Hopefully, Kansas City can avoid any other big ones, and we'll see if Minnesota gets their big names back. What can happen? But we'll see. It's a long season, a lot of baseball to go still. Like you said, the AL East, Baltimore is in front now. The Cardinals dealt with New York. The Yankees have been going through it. Judge, fun stat for you. Since appearing on Paw Patrol, his batting average has been under 150.
Dang, Paw
So
Patrol's selling.
maybe, you shouldn't break your lucky bat on Paw Patrol, and maybe we'd not be looking at Bobby Witt in the rearview mirror as much, Aaron.
Well,
The
you call
AL
him by his
West,
first name.
what'd you say?
You call him by his first name. You are so angry right now.
uh, the AL West is as close to over as you can be, I think. Seattle has shown very, very little heart lately. I don't know if you've watched any Mariners games, but man, they just do not. They just look lost. That's really the best word. The I don't. I saw Mariners tweet. It was like maybe Cervais wasn't the problem. Who knows, dude? We'll get into the Mariners a little bit later, but it just doesn't look like they have heart. I saw a stat against the Angels and Athletics this year. This isn't backing up the heart comment, but against the Angels and A's this year, I think the record is 6-12 or so. They've outscored those two teams around the ballpark of like 100-60, which is just that's crazy that is happening. You're losing close games, and then the rubber match of the series, you just blow them out. Not the rubber match, game 3 to salvage the sweep, but yeah, struggling Mariners. NL West is pretty much the same. Dodgers are starting to extend the lead a little bit.
Yeah, both the Padres and the D-backs are kind of falling here. I mean, the Padres have been playing good baseball in the last 10, but I mean, the Dodgers just keep on winning, and it's so hard for those teams to catch up.
I'll tell you what, that Dodgers D-back series in Arizona was the closest series that I've watched this year that has felt like playoff baseball.
Yeah.
The Diamondbacks fans absolutely showed out. The Dodgers team, I mean, the Diamondbacks played a phenomenal series and lost the series 3-1. Like, Arizona so many times got that clutch hit with 2 outs, and the Dodgers just kept fighting back. Arizona's pitching didn't do well. Gallen struggled. I don't think Montgomery had a good game. I think that's who pitched one of the ones I watched. But
he came out of the pen and he pitched okay. He's in the pen now.
yeah, I knew that. I thought he was this game. He came in like the third or something.
Yeah,
But
he took over for Eduardo Rodriguez in the fourth or something like that.
yeah, but I mean, that series was phenomenal from a fan standpoint. Would have rather Arizona won a few more as a biased Brewers fan, but still a fun series.
Yeah.
The Phillies are getting hot. I mean, the games that they just played in Toronto, my God, dude. Kyle Schwarber just willing them to a win in game 1, and then good pitching holds on to game 2. I mean, Toronto hasn't even played bad in that series, and Philadelphia is just looking incredible. And then in the NL Central, the Cubs are not going to catch the Brewers. I don't think that's a debate. However, you might be looking at that wild card spot, Bradley. I know you didn't touch on either of the wild cards. Do you have any thoughts on these wild card races?
I actually do. I was actually just looking at the Braves and Mets. The Braves have the last spot in the wild card right now, and the Mets are a half game back. I mean, those two teams hate each other. I don't know if they play each other again this year, but if they do, oh man, that would be so entertaining. That'd be must watch baseball.
The
They
second to last
they do
series
play,
of the
yeah,
year,
yeah.
Atlanta hosts the Mets.
That is massive. That is much watch baseball. Like as a baseball fan, you gotta watch that series. Those two teams hate each other. You better believe they want to crush each other. Like you were just talking about playoff baseball. I mean, if that doesn't scream, every team is gonna play their best. I don't know what does. Like that, I think that's gonna be an awesome series. Like you said, the Cubs are. I mean, they're only 4.5 games back with the Braves, and they've been playing phenomenally. If they keep it going, and the Braves slip up a little bit, the Mets slip up a little bit. I mean, the Cubs are there; they're knocking on the door. And I mean, the Cardinals themselves aren't playing bad either. They're 5.5 games behind the Braves. There's plenty of baseball, and I mean, if the Braves and Mets keep on winning, it's going to be tough for them to make any ground. But I mean, the Mets are on a 7-game winning streak right now. I think it's going to be tough for the Cubs and Cardinals to kind of come back to those two teams, the Braves and the Mets. But the way they're playing, anything is possible at this point. I genuinely think that the Giants and Reds and Pirates and Nationals are all out of it. It is. I think the D-backs and Padres I'm not going to say they have their spots locked because they don't. Um, but I mean, it's looking tough for the Braves, Mets, Cubs, Cardinals to take over those two top spots. I genuinely think it's battle for that last spot in the National League between the Braves, Mets, Cubs, and Cardinals. I don't think the Cardinals will make it, but hey, it's baseball, man. Anything can happen. As far
Yeah.
as the AL wild card, I think this one's pretty much over. I mean, yeah, you did say you touched on the Twins and Royals are injured, but I just don't like. I don't think the Tigers are a playoff ready team. They're at 500 right now. I mean, there's a three-way tie for fourth place in the wild card between the Tigers, Red Sox, and Mariners. And personally, I just don't see them as playoff ready, playoff caliber teams. Whereas the Yankees, Twins, and Royals, I do. Um, yeah, I think the AL wild card is pretty much locked up. But the NL wild card race could be very interesting. So keep your eyes peeled.
So I'll touch on the AL because I think it's less competitive. I think the only team in my mind that has a chance to catch either Kansas City or Minnesota right now is Boston. They've lost their last five, so that doesn't help. But like just a team makeup, I think they out of the teams here are most likely to go on a run. They're 5.5 back, so I mean it's going to be tough. But if you're Boston, I think there's a chance. It's not a good one, but at least there's a fighter's shot in my
Yeah,
mind.
I
I don't
wish
think
the
that.
Mariners.
Would you say?
I wish the Mariners were had some sort of offense because I'll tell you what, any team playing them in the playoffs will not want to play the Mariners just because of that pitching. Will keep them in every single game. But man, there's just like you said, there's no energy. That the offense is struggling. Like I think you're right. The Red Sox, as far as the team makeup, do have the best chance. The Tigers, I don't think their offense is there yet. I think their rotation is. I mean, they obviously have one of the best pitchers in baseball, and they got rid of Flaherty, so that hurts a little bit. But I think they also foresee themselves as maybe a next year, maybe in 2 years, kind of making a run at the playoffs because Riley Green. I mean, he's so talented. Torkelson's back up, see if he can kind of turn his career around. But yeah, I agree with you. The Red Sox kind of have the best chance there, even though they have struggled in their last 10.
Yeah. You said everything that pretty much came to mind. Seattle's pitching would be insane in the playoffs, but offense just isn't there. I really want to give Seattle a chance, but just the way that they've been performing, it's tough to say, yeah, I believe in the Mariners. Most of the AL, for what it's worth, has not impressed me as much the last week or two. I mean, the easy way out is just saying, look at the last 10. All the playoff teams are 500 or lower in their last 10. Whereas the National League is 500 or higher. Nobody is below, and the only team that's even just had to play the Dodgers for 4 games. But yeah, I think the National League is, for me, as a I just think the National League is going to have a better chance to win the World Series, which is weird. But I think the Brewers, Dodgers, and Phillies, and the Padres and the D-backs all would have a better chance than anyone but Baltimore, New York. I feel like, I don't know. It's gonna be a crazy run regardless. In the National League wild card, I mean, you said a lot of it. Cubs and Cardinals have a huge hurdle in front of them. That being said, the Cubs are one of, if not the hottest team in baseball right now. They've scored 10 runs, 10 or more runs in 6 of their last 13, I think. Their pitching is phenomenal. They just threw a combined no-no last night. Shota Imanaga threw 7 of those innings. St. Louis, even though they looked really good in the the Yankees series. I mean, they won the series against the Brewers. They didn't look great. Their pitching was phenomenal, but their offense, I don't know, it didn't seem to click anywhere near as close as it did in the Yankee series. They were just taking pitches that they were swinging at in the Yankee series. I don't know. I don't think the Cardinals have as good of a chance as the Cubs. Obviously, the Cubs are in front, but the Cubs are playing so much better baseball right now. Yeah, you said you didn't think anyone was catching Arizona or San Diego. I agree. I think it's just a race for that final spot. If it's the Mets, if it's the Braves, or somehow it's the Cubs, we will see. I said this last week. I'm going to say it again this week. The series to look out for in the National League in the future is obviously Braves and Mets, but the closest one that I think I'm aware of is the Brewers and Phillies series 2 weeks from today. The Phillies lead 2.5 games in the division right now. That's been cut down to 0 at time. Not the division, sorry, in the National League. It's been cut down to 0 at times. And whoever gets the first round bye is going to have a significant advantage, especially in this bloodbath of the National League. But yeah, the playoffs are fun. It's going to be fun. Got a long ways to go still. But yeah, do you have anything else to add, or is that
I mean, I touched everything that I needed to touch.
nice? Okay. We have a lot of random things to talk about for most of the rest of the podcast today. First, before we do anything else, we're gonna do our weekly umpire scorecards. Do you have an umpire that you were interested in this week, Bradley?
Yes, I have one from actually this year, not 2021. So I have one from Sunday, September 1st. It was the Braves Phillies game. Massive. I mean, that's a big series in its own right. But Edwin Moscaso, I mean, he called a great game. He only had three missed calls. Um, but they're not bad. They're all in the same location, so like you can't really blame the guy. So that's why I'm giving him props because he missed one call like worse than the others, but I mean at least it was in the same spot. He had a very consistent zone all around except for that one little spot. He had a 98% called ball accuracy and a 97% called strike accuracy. Overall, 98% accuracy and a 97% consistency. I'm always talking about the consistency aspect as being the most important thing for umps, just because if you call it outside for lefties and inside for righties all game, keep it going because, like I've said a million times before, I mean, hitters got to adjust. And I think Edwin did a fantastic job this game, not having too much bias towards one team or the other, especially this being a very, very important matchup for the Braves and for the Phillies, trying to extend that lead, and for the Braves trying to catch up. And props to Edwin for leaving the bias out of the way a little bit, being consistent, and being accurate. So, Edwin, good for you, man.
So the one I have for this week is not necessarily a great call game, not necessarily a poorly called game, but the reason I chose this game, it was last night's game between the Cardinals and Brewers. The reason I chose this game is one of my friends asked if I wanted to go to a Brewers game. I was like, sure, that'd be good. And as we're on the way there, he's like, oh yeah, I have a parking pass and all this stuff. I'm like, you sure you don't want me to pitch in? He's like, no. Someone that he is related to has season tickets to the Brewers. I was like, okay, that's cool. We were in the second row behind home plate. I'm never gonna be closer ever to any home stadium unless I'm a player, coach, or umpire. Like it's just not possible. Uh, and the reason I chose this is because at that distance you can see the plate, you can see the height. I couldn't see inside very well, but I had a direct line of the outside angle. Um, so it's just cool because like the uh the pitch on here, there's a 3-2 count that was called a strike to Eric Haas. Obviously, you're surrounded by Brewers fans who don't like the call at all, but sitting there behind behind the plate is just like it's just like wow, like you can see it and you can determine yourself it's a ball or a strike. And let me tell you, from that angle, umpiring a professional MLB game is so difficult. So if there's anything I'm saying here, it is that umpiring is so difficult. Obviously, they're professionals. They're paid like professionals. They train like professionals, but that doesn't make it any easier. Um, so I don't really have many thoughts about the card itself. Little biased for the Cardinals, but I don't think it was intentionally biased. Um, but yeah, it's just something I wanted to say is I think it is unbelievably difficult to umpire a professional baseball game.
Yeah. I'd like to touch on that a little bit. So I like watching reels or whatever, and Trevor May, former MLB pitcher, live streamer. I don't know if he live streams anymore, but he used to. Um, so he always does these segments on nasty pitches, and there was this one. It was Framber Valdez. He threw a sinker that started out at like I swear the hitter's ear hole, and came all the way back to be like a strike, but high and right down the middle. Like that pitch had so much horizontal movement, it was insane. And the ump just like stared at it. He had no idea. I mean, like if that doesn't show you just how hard umping is, like that pitch was clearly a strike from the viewer standpoint. But can you imagine watching that pitch and just being like personally, I'd be in awe because that is incredible. Just how much horizontal movement that pitch had. And like, yeah, I'm to touch on what you just said. Umping is very hard. So be rough on the umps. I understand, but man, be a little understanding because holy smokes, are some of these pitchers just have insane movement.
Yeah, you just everything that you said is completely true. Umpiring is it's not impossible, but it is very difficult. And we mentioned this, I don't know, 2 or 3 episodes ago. We think that the value of human umpires is significantly higher than the value of robot umpires. It's part of the game. I mean, there's no other sport you have robot or AI umps or officials. So I hope it stays. I hope it continues to be humans behind the plate. And yeah. So instead of a shout out directly to Jeremy Riggs, shout out to all umpires today. It's tough. It is tough. Last stream. I keep saying stream. Last podcast, we talked about where we thought players might go that were upcoming free agents. And let me tell you, Bradley is 1 for 1 on his free agent guesses.
Let's go.
Because Matt Chapman got a 6-year, $151 million extension with the San Francisco Giants. What are your initial reactions to that extension?
My initial reaction was, woohoo! I was so happy for Chapman because now he can just stay at one spot. He's clearly comfortable in the Bay. And I mean, he's getting paid, and I'm just so happy for him because now, I mean, realistically, that contract will probably be till the end of his career, realistically, just because he has, I believe, another year after this one with an opt out, opt in deal. And then obviously after that, so altogether, he's got 7 years after this one. So I mean, just good for Chappie. It's awesome. I love it. And honestly, I think I saw something where like this Matt Chapman contract is making like other players kind of like put San Francisco on their map. So I think like this deal could very well be like the start of a very big San Francisco Giants offseason. I think they are already looking towards the future, and I think they did a great job locking up Chapman because there are genuinely not very many better defensive third baseman in baseball than Chappie. And I mean, if he can consistently hit 250 with 30 homers and some RBIs in there, like Chapman is going to be valuable for a long time, and I think this is a great move for the Giants. I was very happy for him.
Yeah. One thing I don't know why it came to my mind when I saw this news is I just thought of the season 2 years ago where the Giants uh, had over 100 wins and lost a tough game 5 against the Dodgers in the postseason. But like that wasn't that far away, that long ago. So I you got similar management, similar situations. We'll see what happens over there in the Bay. Who knows? Maybe all the people that work for Oakland will just make a little bit longer drive and go across the bridge now. But yeah, really good for Matt Chapman. The Giants agree with you, and they didn't necessarily agree with me, but that's okay. The next topic I wrote down is I want to talk a bit about the Cubs. Uh, they have we I said a little bit about them when talking about the playoff races. They have been so hot lately. You have any thoughts about the Cubs, Bradley?
I mean, just what you said. They're so hot. I mean, their offense is hitting on all cylinders right now. Other than the game against Pittsburgh on Tuesday where they got shut out, I mean, other than that, since August 26th, they've put up more than 3 runs in every single game, and I mean, they've scored over 10 runs 3 times in that little stretch. I mean, their offense is going crazy, and then their pitching is playing phenomenal too. I mean, other than the August 28th against Pittsburgh where they gave up 10, I mean, they've kept every single game doable for that screaming hot offense. So, yeah, I mean, the Cubs are one of the most popular teams in baseball. They definitely have the name behind them, the history and everything. So, dare I say this is good for the game of baseball to see the Chicago Cubs kind of balling out here?
Yeah, and like it doesn't seem when I'm watching the games, it doesn't seem like the same player is getting it done every game. Yesterday Bellinger played really well. Um, Shota, obvious. I mean, they threw a no hitter, obviously. ECA a little bit ago. I mean, they have a reliever. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Who was part of the no last night? Porter Hodge. Porter Hodge has been pitching so well for the Cubs lately, and yeah, they're just clicking on all cylinders. I don't even know what else to say. It feels like every game they're giving themselves a really good chance to win. The game they got shut out was against Paul Skeens, so you take that for a grain of salt. Um, but now that we're gonna do a little reverse here. Do the Pirates? I've been thinking about this for a while. I didn't even write this down, so you're gonna get blindsided here. Do the Pirates shut down Paul Skeens? Is that something that they should consider?
I don't think so. I think I don't know. Skeens, yes, he's been a workhorse in college and everything. Like he's obviously been working a lot in the majors since he got brought up. But I say just give this guy more innings. Maybe in a week or two, like after this week or something, maybe shut him down. Especially if you're out of it, like really out of it. Like they're out of it now. But I think as far as like team morale goes and like people wanting to go there, I think that'll just look bad as far as like they're kind of just giving up, which I mean, fair enough because they are out of it and their team is just not ready to be ultra competitive right now. But I don't like it really when I mean there's still like almost a month of baseball left. I don't know. I'd say maybe give them one or two more starts, then see where you're at and shut them down, keep them healthy. But I don't necessarily want them to shut them down.
Here's here's my thoughts. I think that you pitch him until you're mathematically eliminated from the postseason. Not from the division, but from the postseason in general. I think that I mean you're looking around the league. We mentioned this a few podcasts ago. Looking around the league, and these high velocity pitchers are going down. Obviously, worst case scenario for the Pirates rest of their season is Paul Skeens goes down and he's out for all of next year. That would be that like Pirates fans don't even want to consider that world. But I think that making like one he could use a few more appearances to continue to fine tune stuff to prepare in the long term for next year and past that. But I don't know. Like if you stay in the race, if you keep throwing them out there and risk injury, he could get a rookie of the year. I don't think the Pirates care or not if he gets a rookie of the year. He would probably tell you he'd rather have one than not have one. You still got to deal with Jackson Merrill and Jackson Churio. Um, but I don't know. It's tough. I think that the Pirates should eventually, before the end of the season, but I would give him a few more outings personally. I'm close
I'm with
though.
you.
Like you said, it might be just one or two. But we'll see what the Pirates end up doing. There is still almost 4 weeks of baseball left to be played, so
Yeah. You ready to switch back to the Cubs now?
yeah, let's go back. Sorry, that was a little. That was that meme where it's like straight or that U turn. You know, we took the U
Oh yeah.
turn.
I was just looking at the Cubs schedule. They have a 3 game set against the Yankees, and they're playing against Luis Heel and Garrett Cole in that series. And then they have a 3 game series against the Dodgers, where they're facing Walker Bueller, Yamamoto, and Mason Miller. Not Mason Miller. Holy smokes! Uh, wow,
Bobby.
Bobby. Thank you. Wow. Okay. Anyways, moving on. That is a very tough 6 game stretch that they have for the next 6 days. I mean, if they can win both series, that's looking great for them as far as a playoff push. But it's all I mean, it also helps the Brewers if they can keep on winning low key. So like, I mean, there's that aspect of being a Brewers fan. But like, if the Cubbies win both these series, or even like win one, lose one, but they take at least one game out of the series that they lose, like that is honestly dangerous because both these teams are very talented, very good, and they can put up runs. And then after the Dodgers and Yankees, if they can survive that, they have the Rockies, the A's, and the Nats, which I can very well see them winning all 3 of those series. And then they have the Phillies, which is, I mean, they have some tough series coming up. I mean, they have 2 hard ones, 3 easy ish. It's baseball, so not every team is going to just be like easy. But then you got the Phillies. Like that Philly series could very well push them into the playoffs or not.
Yeah. They have arguably the three toughest teams in baseball, and then arguably four of the 7 easiest teams in baseball. It's a really weird schedule. I think if I were a Cubs fan, I would be happy taking 6 games between. Sorry, geez, 6, 3 games between the Yankees and Dodgers. I would walk out of there happy. I think because like you said, you have Rockies, Oakland, Washington. Nothing's a given in the MLB. But those are teams you'd rather have on your schedule than on your opponent's schedule at this part of the year. But yeah, we'll see. That end of the schedule is brutal. We'll see what the Cubs end up doing. Okay. Next on the list, this kind of goes under this is a push off of Bradley's tidbits, and we talked about this guy a little bit last time, but as a biased Brewer fan, there's two things that I want to just talk about, at least for a little bit. First off, Willy Adames has, in case you guys have not heard, has tied the record for most 3-run home runs in a single season in MLB history. We have a lot of baseball to go. Ken Griffey Jr. also had 13 3-run homers in a season. Adames only has 29 homers, and 13 of them are for 3 runs. Like, how does that even happen? 9 of them are 2 runs, so 22 out of his 29 home runs are multi-run homers.
That honestly kind of reminds me of like Don Mattingly's season, where he had 6 grand slams and he didn't have any the rest of his career. He didn't have any before that season and any after that season. Like, I'm not saying Willy Adames isn't going to get more 3-run homers, but like, I mean, that's kind of crazy. Where he has 29 homers and 13 of them are 3-run ding dongs. Like, that is crazy.
Yeah, the Brewers broadcast, Brian Anderson, started calling him Steph Curry, and Curry actually invited the Adames out to a game next year.
Wow,
which is just kind of interesting.
Scary.
I feel like,
yeah, it's scary because he's recruiting him to the Giants. I don't like it.
yeah, I don't want to think about that.
Tyler Fitzgerald's out of the league after all.
He could come to Milwaukee. That wouldn't be the worst replacement.
Yeah, true. Just make a little swap if Willie's really keen on leaving. Which I don't know if, okay, we talked about this last week, but I don't think he's keen on leaving. I saw Jackson dump a bag of seeds on his head, and then he dumped a bag of seeds on Jackson's head. Those two are like brothers, man. I don't know.
Yeah, speaking of Jackson Churio, that's the other thing I want to talk about. Is there anything you have more on Willie before we dip out of here?
Yeah, after he hit that game tying RBI in the, what was it, the 11th. I texted a bunch of people saying don't free Willie, and no, I didn't even get a laugh out of it because the movie Free Willy, and nobody thought it was funny. I was kind of sad about that, to be honest with you.
Can I be honest with you for a second?
Okay, what?
The only memory I have of the movie Free Willy is my great grandma's really old rented house.
It doesn't matter if you haven't seen the movie or you don't remember the movie. You should know what the whole gist of the movie is just by the title, man.
No, I'm just saying, when you said Free Willy, I thought of like the smells that come from my great grandma's house.
Don't free Willy.
The like old woman smells of like cats,
All right, move on. I'm done. I'm angry.
All right, so Jackson Churio. This is less of a Jackson Churio thing and more of a I didn't get enough National League Rookie of the Year talking, or I want to just call out the third option in the mix. Churio has been on fire. Through June 22nd, he was hitting 223. Now he's hitting over 280, and his OPS is over 800. like I don't even know. I don't even know what there is to say. He picked up Christian Yelich's slack. That's not an easy thing to do. Uh, he's up to 19 homers on the year. He had a grand slam on Monday against St. Louis. I think he said he called that homer actually. Like called the grand slam. Some point in the game, he went to Adamas. I think he said, and he goes, "I'm gonna get in that bat with the bases loaded and hit a grand slam." And what does he do? He does exactly that. I think Adamas said that post game. Whether or not they're just goofing off or that actually happened, it's a weird coincidence. I mean, we're getting to the point where the Cardinals in extra innings are intentionally walking a 20-year-old because they are scared that he's gonna hit the ball, and he's been intentionally walked twice in the last 2 days in extra innings. Both games, he got a free pass, so it's gonna be a very interesting rookie of the year race, and if Churio stays this hot, it could very well be a Cars Lightning McQueen Chick Hicks finish with all three of these people at the end. Do you have any thoughts about any of the rookie of the year shenanigans?
No, I mean I think Jackson like it's very much kind of like the NBA MVP. Whoever has like the storyline or whatever, what's like the media behind them is going to win it, and Jackson Churio just doesn't. Like he'll probably finish third without a doubt, but I mean it's a two-man race at this point of the year. I don't know.
Yeah, so you said storyline. Both Jackson Merrill and Paul Skeens have their storylines. Paul Skeens is Paul Skeens. He started the All Star game. Jackson Merrill is this year one of the most clutch batters at the plate. Like feels like every week I go on social media and I see, oh, Jackson Merrill hit a game tying or walk off or go ahead homer in the ninth inning. It's like whoop de doo, he did it again. Um, and they're not the same video over and over again. Every week it's a different stadium, a different pitcher. Like it's crazy how clutch Jackson Merrill seems to be. He has 22 homers on the year. I wouldn't be surprised if six or more of them were in the ninth inning. It feels like, but maybe this is just the bias coming out of me. I think that if Churio continues September like he has been hitting the last few months, I don't know how the voters are gonna vote. They'll probably stay on the Merrill and Skeens train just because they've been relevant for longer. But I mean, Churio's hitting 279. Merrill is hitting 294. If Churio stays at the rate he's hitting, he'll catch up to that. Merrill's OPS is 828 right now. Churio's is like 805. But it's not that big of a gap, and if Churio stays hot, I just think there's gonna be a chance.
I'll be honest, if Jackson can somehow get to that, like my trivia, if he can get to that 30-30 season as being one of the youngest players to do it, I think he wins it, but I think that's the only way he wins it.
So he's one homer away from a 2020 season. Jackson Merrill is 4 stolen bases away from a 2020 season. Merrill is a year older, but I don't think that would take anything away. And the rookie of the year race, just the age note. I don't even know what I'm saying, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. A lot of baseball left. If Scenes gets shut down, it's also tough because where do pitching stats compare to hitting stats? It's just a toss up. As of right now, if I was a voter, I think I'd still give my vote to Skeens. But a month from now, who knows? Okay, we're gonna skip forward a little bit, so we can not have to rush through this time to our top performances. I have 3 people down. Bradley, I'm assuming you have somewhere in the ballpark of 3. Is there anyone?
I have two, yeah.
Is there anyone that? Who's your favorite of all your 3? No, no, no. Tell me your third place performance that you wrote down this
I
week?
have two.
So you have two tied for second?
No, I have two in general. I don't have three.
Oh. Well, tell me your second. Tell me your second. Yeah, tell me your second. Let's hear it.
Okay, so my second performance is the man, the myth, the Goliath, Kyle Schwarber. Um, in the game against the Blue Jays that they ended up winning 10-9. I was watching multicast on MLB TV because I was like, if the Phillies lose this, the Brewers, if the Brewers win, like they take second place in the NL. And then I am not even joking when I say I turn it on. I text Ben saying Schwarber is having the at bat of his life, and as I sent it, Schwarber pimped one to right field to take a 2-run lead and hit a 3-run bomb. I mean, he had 6 RBIs this game, so he accounted for six out of the 10 runs, which is absurd. He went 5 for 6 on the day, and he had 3 ding dongs. That is absurd. Like you said earlier, Schwarber has just willed the Phillies to win this game, and it kind of made me very sad that he did so. But I mean, good for Schwarber. I mean, I love Schwarber. His swing is goated in MLB The Show. For those of you that don't play, for those of you that do, you know, oh, you know. But yeah, I mean, this is one of the craziest games I've seen this year. 5 for 6 with 3 ding dongs and 6 ribbies, and gave him the game. Basically won him the game. I mean, yeah, that's just crazy.
I have a kind of related question to what you about to Schwarber. I have an answer that I have in my mind. How much do you think MLB The Show changes your perception of players? Because
I'd say I'd say it gives me more perspective on players that I wouldn't have previously had a perspective on. But Schwarber played for the Cubs, so I already had like a perspective on him, and I already liked him because all the Cubs fans low-key hated him. So like that's why I kind of liked him as well. But yeah, I don't know. I've always liked Schwarber, but yeah, I mean, I definitely like him more now that he's off the Cubs and that like his. Oh, I'm trying to remember if it was like MLB The Show 22 where you got a Player of the Month and you had catcher secondary. That card was so goaded, and then yes, I will say that like boosted the love for a player. Like I would say MLB The Show never has like a negative impact on players for me, but it has like a definite plus for players.
yeah, I that sentence sums up I think my thoughts in a nutshell. I feel like if there's a lefty that I haven't heard of, generally I'm gonna just like them a lot. I think the my favorite part about MLB The Show's I don't know what you want to call it, like knowledge sharing of players, if you will, like teaching, is the like rookie cards they do all year of players that are in the minors.
Yeah,
Um, and I am a Termar Johnson fan simply because I loved playing with him on MLB The Show.
I'm
Um,
indifferent. I didn't like that card.
good, good. But anyway, it just again, it's cool when different places are able to grow the game in different ways. One of my performances this week. What one do I start with? Uh, we'll do Nicky Lopez to start. He had his first home run of the season yesterday on September 4th in a 3-for-4 day at the plate in a White Sox win against the Baltimore Orioles. You can't say that those three words together often, so you just gotta make sure you can say it when you can. He also had a walk. He scored twice. Um, so nothing crazy. It was kind of funny. The White Sox broadcasters were like, "Yeah, a big thing in this losing streak we're on is that we're just not hitting a lot of homers." And then what does Nicky Lopez do? It's a leadoff homer to start the game in Baltimore for his first of the year. Who's your one of your other
I,
performance?
I have three, by the way. No,
You
I forgot
son of a
about this.
gun!
I forgot about this one.
I just got bamboozled.
You did get it. My second one is I told you I'd talk about him again. My main man, Corbin Carroll. I'm in his last seven, he's hitting 393 with two ding dongs, five stolen bases. In his last 15, he's hitting 328 with six ding dongs. And in his last 30, he's hitting 301 with 11 ding dongs. Talk about a man turning up. I mean, just like I'm so happy for Corbin Carroll. He has been a spark plug for the Arizona Diamondbacks when they needed one most, with Ketel Marte being out for a little bit. I mean, this man has just turned it to another level, and this is why he won National League Rookie of the Year for a reason. You know, I
Yeah,
mean, this man is electric, and it's just so good to see him balling out, and I couldn't be more happy for him. I really couldn't.
yeah. He has started to figure it out, which is a scary sign for the National League teams in the playoffs. One of the one of my performances that stood out to me this week, a name that I don't know if I'll ever say on this podcast again, Griffin Canning, threw 6 2/3 innings of 1 run ball against the Los Angeles Dodgers, which is worth a little bit more because it's against the Dodgers, who have a phenomenal offense. He struck out seven, only allowed 4 hits. He walked 4 batters, which wasn't a great number. But only allowing 1 run through almost 7 innings against that team is a good day at the office. Angels won the game 10-1. He had a lot of run support, so it wasn't the most stressful outing for him. But a good day in the bump for Griffin Canning.
By the way, we're gonna say his name a whole heck of a lot more now.
Okay,
So you know.
I'm just it's just not a household name. Maybe okay, I'll say it.
It is
Sure,
now, buddy.
it is now because I made him my one of my players of the week.
Yep.
Okay, shout out Griffin Canning. Griffin, if you want to be the first MLB player to hop on the pod, hit my line.
For real.
And by line, I mean Instagram DM.
The silence is very loud.
Right. Who's your Bradley? Who's your last player?
All right, Ben, go take a lap. Go run the polls. My last player is Darren Baker, the son of legendary manager Dusty Baker. He got called up, and first pitch, first major league hit. It was just awesome. He was so excited. I mean, good for him, man. First pitch, he comes up and he gets a hit. I mean, just that. I mean, I just love things like this. This is just awesome. I love that. And then, not to mention, like I was watching the clip, and then they showed a little clip of little Darren Baker, the Bat Boy, and, and somebody hit like a 2 RBI double. I can't remember what team. I
Is it
don't
the
remember, but
Nats?
like no. It was like when Darren. I don't remember what team it was, but Darren Baker as a little kid, he must have been like 5 or something like that. He was so tiny and adorable at the time. Darren, don't judge me, but like he came like sprinting out to go pick up the bat, and this guy, this big husky guy, ran like got the run. He saw him and like picked him up by his jacket and scooped him up so the guy rounding third wouldn't like demolish him. It was just funny, and it was just a very cool full circle moment where this kid has been in Major League Park since he's been a little kid, and first pitch he sees up, and yeah, I mean he gets a base knock. Yeah, and by the way, yeah, he is on the Nationals. I don't remember what that story was for though, or when he was like the ball boy for or
The
bat boy.
I saw the same clip that you were talking about. I am very confident that the team that scored the runs, it was a home game, and the team that scored the runs were wearing red. So it might have been the
I thought they were
Phillies.
blue. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, there we go. One of us are colorblind. No, as you were saying that, I was thinking, I was like, imagine that guy didn't pick him up. How do the umpires rule a play where the ball boy, who is a 5-year-old, is trying to like grab the bat in the playoff game? Honestly, in retrospect, it's easy to say this now. It just sounds like an awful idea to have a 5-year-old be a bat boy at a professional playoff game.
Yeah, but it brings the aww, kind of like the dog bat boys, you know.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but if I'm a fan at a playoff game, I'm not looking.
Was it a playoff game though?
I mean, the crowd was going nuts.
Well, yeah, but that could be at any Saturday home game.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Either way,
I don't think they'd have a 5-year-old bat boy in a playoff game.
we need to find more information on
We
this
do.
Baker kid.
Hey, he has a name, and it's Darren.
Sorry, Darren and Dusty. What a squad.
For real.
The last we're gonna put this train back on the tracks. The last player that I want to talk about is Jordan Walker. I'm not sure if you saw, but on
Okay.
Sunday against the Yankees, he was 5 for 5, had 3 RBIs, scored 5 runs, hit his first long ball of the year in a 14-7 Cardinals victory. And yeah, he looked very confident at the plate. He's been struggling most of the year. His OPS over that game raised over 100 points. Uh, and yeah, it was about time. I mean, he's been in the minors for a good chunk of the year, but it was about time he had a breakout game. I know you're not a Cardinals guy, so you're probably a little less impressed, but
I mean, no, it's impressive. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, no, I saw it was very. I mean, good for him, especially since he's been struggling in the majors, like ever since he got brought up. I mean, good for him. You know, I won't. I don't like the franchise, but like I'll always try to be supportive of the players as much as I can, except for Pujols and Yadier, which they're gone now, so I don't have to worry about it. But sorry, that was the Brewers bias. My bad.
yeah, we're good. Taylor Swift, shake that off. You're good.
I mean, they're great. So they're like, okay, I'm just taking a haul.
We have some other things on here, but we have some time left, and there's some teams that we haven't talked about. And in general, I feel like it'd be better just to touch on all teams at least some point. So I'm gonna run down the teams I don't think we've mentioned in any capacity today. Um, both Oakland and Texas. Do you have any thoughts about anything Oakland or Texas?
I mean, heck yeah, the Rangers are they're 7-3 of the last 10. Do you think they catch up to the Mariners? They're 3 games back. Do you think they take second place in the division? Obviously, if the Rangers overlap the Mariners for second place in the division, neither of those guys are making the playoffs. But I mean, it's still kind of interesting. Like the Mariners probably don't want to finish third in the division when they're second, and they have been for a long time. I don't know. The Rangers are turning up. I'm afraid it might be a little too late. But yeah, I mean the Rangers. I mean they have the team to be competitive, and or later on down in the season, whoever's playing them, and if they're in a playoff race, say like the Mets, which they don't play the Rangers, but like a team like that, like the Rangers could play spoiler because they do have the talent to do that. You know.
Yeah, I agree. Texas, the rest of the way plays Arizona, and that's the only team that's in the playoff hunt right now. They play Seattle twice, so I mean that second and third place is probably just going to be defined by those two Seattle series. But the other three series they have four. Sorry, they have two against the Angels and then Toronto and Oakland. Um, I mean, with that schedule, realistically, there's not a chance. But yeah, it's baseball. You never know.
Yeah, that's
Um,
very true.
yeah, though Oakland. I mean, they put together a good series against the Mariners the other day. I think they had two walk offs in that series. Shea Langoliers had a 2-homer game, including the walk-off in one of the games. But yes, I think Oakland is gonna have a good little team. I think that it is difficult to guess how they're gonna be because they're gonna be at a completely different stadium, a minor league stadium. I don't know enough about the stadium to like talk about its amenities. Do you know anything about the stadium they're moving and what like a MLB stadium now? You got a cook, you got a training room, you got all this stuff. Do you know anything about the stadium they're moving to?
I mean, other than I mean, it's a minor league field, so they obviously still will have all the amenities that they need. But I mean, obviously, I just it's Suter Health Park in Sacramento.
Okay.
I just I don't know. I mean, our it might just be just as bad as far as attendance if they were in Oakland. So having more seats might make it look better. I don't know what they're trying to do here because who knows if they're actually like the stadium. Who knows how long that's going to take? Because I know the for a while the mayor of Vegas was trying to not let them in. I mean, it's just so rough to be an athletics fan right now.
Yeah.
Personally,
No,
I mean,
I
I'm
agree.
looking at pictures right now, and it's basically I don't know. I mean, it looks like a nice field, and it just looks like a very old stadium as far as like compared to like a new Rangers field and stuff. They'll definitely be able to get fans, but I think I saw like a statistic where like the team playing in Sugar Health Park, the minor league team, literally averaged a higher attendance than the Oakland Athletics this year.
That is brutal.
Yeah, that is beautiful indeed.
I mean, obviously the Athletics owner isn't worried about attendance. That's clearly not at the top of his list.
Right.
I believe I saw they're gonna try to move in Las Vegas in 2007. If the pictures are anything like what the stadium is gonna be like, it's gonna be absolutely gorgeous. But you're taking away the Athletics from Oakland. It's tough. It's just tough.
I mean,
Um,
they're one of the most historic franchises in baseball.
yeah,
I mean, they were insane in the '70s. If I remember correctly, they won another one in the '80s. I could be wrong though, so don't quote me. But I know they won at least two in the '70s, maybe three. I mean, they've had legends and upon legends. They're a historic franchise, and I mean, it kind of breaks my heart, kind of like what like the Raiders leaving Oakland. Like I know Oakland isn't in the greatest shape as a city right now, but man, I mean, it's just heartbreaking for. It's kind of like for me, it's kind of like the same situation as like the St. Louis Rams, because like the St. Louis fans love their Rams and they just left. Which I know that there's Oakland fans that still love Oakland and they're just doing this because I mean the owner's not good at all, and it's just so tough to see that this is where it's coming to for Oakland. I know we're getting to this story late, but man, I mean, just it's just hard. It really is heartbreaking. I'm really sorry for the A's fans out there because I mean I know you guys wish you could keep your team and had a different different owner, but I mean this is just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess.
yeah. I've never been to Oakland, so I can't speak based off of experience, but based off of what I know from social media and videos and all this stuff, it looks like Oakland is I'm obviously all in with the fans. It looks like Oakland is just a phenomenal sports city, and somehow to lose three sports teams might be. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's all three of their professional sports teams. I don't think they have an NHL team.
Wait,
Um,
what's the 13 that they lost?
Golden State. Warriors. To lose all three, they moved across the bay.
Oh,
Is just
I didn't know they were in Oakland. To be honest, I thought they were in San Francisco the whole time.
yeah. Oracle was in Oakland.
Oh,
Um, but I mean, that's that's tough. Like I haven't been to the city, but if you could have held three sports teams at one point, there's no way you can't hold at least one. It just is. There's nothing to say to Oakland fans. There's just nothing to say.
on the move to Vegas.
I guess. Do you have any thoughts on? We're running out of time here. Quick. Do you have any thoughts on Detroit?
I do not.
Reek
I
Scooble.
already talked about them.
Yeah, I know. Reek Scooble is rolling. It's hard to see him not winning the Cy Young for me, but
Yeah.
if he has a rough start or two, maybe the recency bias voters
Classic.
will say
And
Class A. Yeah,
I don't know. I also was just like scrolling through the box scores the other day, and I saw um Torkelson was back, and he hit a bomb. So
nice.
I mean, like it's good to see that too, because he was the number one pick in 2020, and obviously everything that comes with being the number one pick, you have extremely high expectations. But it just hasn't panned out for him, and I'm hoping that home run can be the first of many.
Yeah,
Because honestly, their pitching is decent, but their offense is not playoff caliber yet, and it's just they need Torkelson to develop. Riley Green is getting there, but this is not where you wanted Torkelson to be 4 years after you drafted him.
yeah. He's still got time, not as much. He's still got a little bit. I would think.
His leash is definitely getting shorter and shorter.
Yep. Other teams you haven't mentioned. If you have any thoughts on either Tampa, Colorado, Washington, or Miami?
Colorado, as long as you have Chuck Nasty, you're always going to be one of my favorite teams.
Yeah, I think Bradley and I are always going to be on the Rockies train. I honestly haven't heard of anything that Tampa has done in the last week. I haven't paid enough attention to them. Um, and I could say the same for the Marlins. I've heard a lot of good stuff about Abrams lately. I've watched a few Nats games. I like the Nationals core. I think they got a good chance. Dylan Cruz was called up. He had a chance to walk off the Cubs during their win streak, and he struck out with with the bases loaded. But he is going to be good. That strikeout doesn't mean practically anything for the course of his career. And yeah, you have any last final thoughts to add for the
Um,
people?
yeah, for the people for sure. I mean, the support has been phenomenal. Those of you that listen every single day, every single time we upload, I appreciate you. I mean, I honestly, we're just here yapping about baseball, and those of you that come out and listen and give your support, we appreciate that, and keep on coming and listening because I mean, we're gonna keep on talking baseball no matter what. So, yeah, we love you guys, and thank you. Thanks for all the support.
Yeah, we will be back next week. Until then, I don't know. Just be good. Live your life to the best of your ability. That's so inspirational.
So inspirational.
All right, guys. We will see you later.